Picture this. You're cruising through life thinking you've got the keys to the kingdom. House, kids, dog, the works. Until your wife hands you a map you didn't ask for and says, "Let's take different roads." That's me right now, folks, and I'm still figuring out if I'm the driver or the roadkill. I'm parked in my truck right now outside the house, the engine off and the windows cracked just enough to let the February chill sneak in. My phone's glowing in my lap and I'm typing this out on a throwaway account because Anne knows my main Reddit handle and some buddies follow me there. If they see this, well, I'm screwed, but I've got to get it off my chest. Buckle up, folks. This one's a doozy. My name's Tom. I'm 36 and I've been married to Anne. She's 33 for 8 years now. We've got 2 girls, Lily, who's 7, and Emma, who's 5, a decent split-level house in suburban Ohio, and a mutt named Buster we adopted last year because the girls begged until I caved. It's the American dream, right? Mortgage, minivan, dog hair on the couch, check, check, check. I've been in construction since I was 19, worked my way up to management, and Anne's got this corporate gig she's been at forever. Life's been good, or at least I thought so until about 6 hours ago. This morning started like any other. I was in the kitchen, flipping pancakes, the kind from the box because I'm no chef, and the girls were at the table making a mess. Lily had her crayons out, scribbling some lopsided unicorn, and Emma was giggling, sneaking bits of bacon to Buster under the table. "Dad, he's starving," she said, her little voice all serious, like I'd been neglecting the poor guy. I just laughed and tossed her another strip. Buster's living better than me these days. Anne was there too, leaning against the counter with her coffee, scrolling through her phone. She didn't say much, just gave me a quick morning and a half smile before her eyes went back to the screen. I figured she was just tired. 2 kids and a desk job will do that to you. I plated the pancakes, dropped a kiss on her forehead as I passed, and she didn't even look up. Normal, right? That's what I told myself. We've been together 10 years total, married 8, and the honeymoon phase is ancient history. She hates when I leave my muddy work boots by the couch. I roll my eyes at the Amazon packages piling up. Standard marriage stuff. Nothing to write home about, or so I thought. Work was the usual grind. Meetings, blueprints, a guy calling off sick because his cat had an emergency. Sure, Dave, whatever. I got home around 6, kicked off my boots, yes, by the couch, sue me, and flopped down with my phone to watch some guy on YouTube fix a garage door spring. Figured I'd save $1 and do it myself this weekend. The girls were in the living room, arguing over who got the purple marker, and I could hear Anne in the kitchen clinking dishes around. Everything felt fine, like the kind of fine you don't even notice until it's gone. Then she walked in, no warning, just stood there in the doorway with her arms crossed, shifting her weight like she was about to pitch me a bad idea. I glanced up, half expecting her to say her mom was coming over or Lily's teacher called again about her creative spelling. "Hey, everything okay?" I asked, thumb hovering over the pause button. "Kids good? Your folks?" Yeah, everyone's fine," she said, but her voice had that edge, like when she's about to ask me to repaint the bathroom. She took a breath, let it out, slow, and I knew something was up. I need to talk to you about something." I hit pause. The YouTube guy froze mid-sentence, holding a wrench like a statue, and sat up straighter. "Okay, what's up?" I said, trying to keep it light, but my stomach did a little flip. She stepped closer, fidgeting with the hem of her sweater, and then it came out. "I think we should try living apart together. You know, still married, but separate places, sharing custody. It's a thing people do." I just stared at her. My brain blanked out for a solid 5 seconds, like when your Wi-Fi drops and you're stuck buffering. "Living apart? What?" I finally said, waiting for her to crack a smile, maybe laugh and say she'd been watching too many of those weird TikTok relationship hacks. But she didn't. Her face stayed serious, lips pressed tight, and she nodded like she'd rehearsed this. "It's called LAT," she went on, like she was explaining a new diet. "I just need some space, you know? Time for personal growth. We could still make it work." I blinked at her, my mouth half open, and all I could think was, space? Growth? What is this, a yoga retreat? "Wait, hold up," I said, setting my phone down on the cushion next to me. "You're saying you want to move out? Like, get an apartment? While we're still married?" "Yeah," she said, shrugging one shoulder like it was no big deal, like she was suggesting we switch to a different brand of toothpaste. "It's not about splitting up, it's just a different way to do things." I leaned back. running a hand through my hair, and let out a laugh. Short, sharp, the kind you do when you're not actually amused. Okay, Anne, I'm gonna need more than that. Where's this coming from? Did I do something? Are we fighting and I missed the memo? She shook her head quick, too quick, and sat down on the arm of the couch, avoiding my eyes. No, it's not you, it's just me. I've been thinking about it a lot lately. Lately, I echoed, and my mind started rewinding the last few weeks. Breakfast this morning. She'd been fine, hadn't she? Kissed me goodbye like always when I dropped the girls at school. No big arguments, no cold shoulder. Sure, she'd been perkier lately, humming to herself while folding laundry, talking about work like it was suddenly exciting, but I figured she'd just gotten a raise or something. So what, you're bored of me, the kids, the dog, I asked, half joking, but my chest was tightening up. She sighed, picking at a loose thread on her sleeve. It's not like that, Tom. I just need to figure some stuff out. I didn't know what to say after that. The girls' voices drifted in from the other room, Lily yelling, "Emma!" That's mine. And Buster barked once, probably hoping for more bacon. Anne got up, mumbled something about checking on them, and left me sitting there with my paused video and a head full of static. Figure stuff out? What stuff? I grabbed my phone again, but instead of hitting play, I opened Google and typed "living apart together." 2 hours later, I was in the garage, hunched over a bag of leftover Halloween candy. Those mini Snickers taste better when you're stress eating, trust me. Scrolling through articles about couples in Europe doing this crap. Older couples mostly, or people with jobs in different cities, not two parents with kids in elementary school and a mortgage in Ohio. I popped another Snickers, the wrapper crinkling in my fist, and muttered to myself, "What the hell, Anne?" I couldn't sleep after that. Kept replaying her words, her shifty little shrug, the way she wouldn't look me in the eye. Was I missing something? Had I been a shitty husband somehow? I mean, I'm not perfect, those boots do stink up the living room, but we were solid, weren't we? The clock hit 2 a.m., and I gave up, grabbed my keys, and headed out to the truck. Needed air, needed to think, needed to type this out before my brain exploded. So here I am, a grown man hiding in his own driveway like a teenager sneaking a smoke, trying to wrap my head around my wife wanting to live apart while calling it still married. If this is the American dream, somebody forgot to send me the updated manual. So here I am again, parked in the truck like it's my new therapist's office, the coffee in my hand gone cold because I've been too busy staring at the dashboard, replaying last night's insanity. Day 2 of what I'm calling the Lat Saga, folks, and spoiler alert, it's not a phase she's gonna laugh off over breakfast. I barely slept after Anne dropped her living apart together bombshell, those words bouncing around my skull like a pinball machine. She'd pitched it like she was selling me a timeshare in Florida. Vague promises, big smiles, zero details. I kept waiting for her to say something normal like, "Just kidding, let's order pizza." But nope, she doubled down and left me sitting there with my paused YouTube video and a bag of Snickers wrappers. By morning, I'd decided I wasn't gonna let this slide without a fight, or at least a decent explanation. I mean, 8 years, 2 kids, a dog. You don't just toss that out like it's last week's leftovers, right? I dragged myself out of bed around 6, the girls still snoring in their rooms, and shuffled into the kitchen. Anne was already up, pouring coffee into her mug with that World's Okayest Mom logo she got from her sister last Christmas. She didn't look at me, just kept her eyes on the steam, curling up like it was the most fascinating thing in the world. "Morning," I said, keeping my voice even, like I hadn't spent half the night Googling her little Lat fantasy. She mumbled something back, barely audible, and I figured this was my shot. I grabbed a mug, mine's got a faded cartoon hammer from some job site giveaway, and leaned against the counter. "So," I said, blowing on the coffee to buy a second, "about that whole living apart thing, let's talk it out. How's it gonna work? Custody, bills, who gets Buster on weekends?" She froze, her spoon clinking against the mug mid-stir, and I swear I saw her blink twice like she was rebooting. "Oh," she said, setting the spoon down slow. "I didn't think we can figure it out as we go, right?" I snorted before I could stop myself, the kind of laugh that's more air than sound. "Yeah, because that's how you run a family with 2 kids and a mortgage. Just wing it." She shot me a look, half annoyed, half flustered, and crossed her arms. "I'm serious, Tom. It doesn't have to be complicated." I took a sip of my coffee, scalding my tongue because I wasn't paying attention. and set the mug down harder than I meant to. Okay, fine, let's make it simple then. Where are you planning to crash? Gotta have a spot in mind, right? She hesitated, just a beat too long, and then said, I was thinking Oak Valley. You know those apartments over by the new plaza? I raised an eyebrow, leaning back against the fridge. Oak Valley? That swanky place with the gym nobody uses? It's like 30 minutes from the girls' school, Anne. Great spot if you hate playgrounds and love overpriced rent. Her mouth opened, then shut, and she started twisting a strand of hair around her finger. A nervous tick I hadn't seen since we argued over the down payment on this house 3 years ago. It's not that far, she said, but her voice was thin, like she didn't even buy it herself. And it's nice, quiet. I just nodded, letting the silence stretch out, watching her squirm. Quiet. Sure. My brain was already spinning, though, because something wasn't adding up. She'd been humming around the house lately, chattier than usual, and yeah, she'd been dropping her boss's name more than normal. Jim this, Jim that. I'd even cracked a joke a couple weeks back when we were folding laundry on the couch. She'd said, Jim's got this funny take on team meetings, and I'd grinned, tossing a sock at her. What's next? Your work husband gonna send me a Father's Day card? She'd frozen for half a second, then laughed. Too loud and said, oh, stop it, he's just smart. I'd let it go then, figured it was nothing, but now it was sticking to me like gum on a boot. I didn't push her right then, though. The girls stumbled in, Lily clutching her unicorn drawing and Emma dragging a blanket, and the moment broke. Anne busied herself pouring them juice, and I headed to work with my head buzzing. All day I couldn't shake it. Her twitchy answers, that damn Oak Valley pick. By midnight, I was back in the garage. The house dark except for the glow of my laptop. I'd pulled an all-nighter, not because I wanted to, but because my brain wouldn't shut up. I opened Excel, yeah, I'm that guy, and started typing. Rent for a one-bedroom at Oak Valley, $800 minimum. Utilities, another $150. Groceries, insurance, gas for 2 places. I even threw in a column for dating expenses because if we're living apart, might as well be real about it, right? I chuckled to myself, imagining Anne's face when I showed her this masterpiece. Peak dad energy, practical, petty, and a little smug. Next morning, I waited till the girls were off to school. Anne was wiping down the counter, pretending she didn't see me lurking with my laptop. I slid it across the table like a poker player showing his hand. Here, I said, tapping the screen. Your lat budget. Figured we'd need some numbers since we're figuring it out as we go. She stopped wiping, her hand hovering over the sponge, and leaned over to look. Her eyes flicked down the columns, rent, bills, even that dating line, and her lips parted like she'd just seen a ghost. What's this? She said, her voice all high and wobbly. Just the basics, I shrugged, leaning back in my chair. 2 households ain't cheap. Oh, and I split custody, week on, week off. Fair, right? She straightened up fast, pushing her hair back with a shaky hand. I didn't mean I thought it'd be more casual than this. I grinned, but it didn't reach my eyes. Casual? Like a sleepover? Come on, Anne, this is real life, not a rom-com montage. She didn't say anything for a minute, just stood there, chewing her lip, and I could practically hear the gears grinding in her head. It was priceless. Her whole space and growth pitch, crumbling under a spreadsheet. But the longer she stayed quiet, the more it gnawed at me. This wasn't just about space. Was it me? The kids? Or, my gut twisted, someone else? Jim's name kept popping up in my head, those little comments she'd been tossing around, like breadcrumbs. I didn't have proof, not yet, but I wasn't about to let her off easy. I closed the laptop, stood up and grabbed my keys. Think it over, I said, heading for the door. We'll talk more tonight. She nodded, still staring at the table, and I stepped outside, the cold air hitting me like a slap. In the truck, I pulled out my phone and shot a text to Dave, my work buddy with a sister in real estate. Hey man, need a favor. Can you find out who lives at Oak Valley, discreet-like? I hit send, leaned my head back and muttered, let's see what you're hiding at. I'm in the garage tonight, folks. Day 5 of this lat mess, and the punching bag's taking a beating while I try to figure out how my life turned into a daytime soap. My knuckles sting, sweat's dripping into my eyes, and I'm muttering to myself. Turns out I'm not paranoid. She's just sneaky. That text from Dave hit my phone this afternoon like a brick through a windshield. I'd been on a job site arguing with a guy about concrete mix when my phone buzzed. Oak Valley Intel, Dave wrote. Your wife's boss, Jim, lives there. Second floor, corner unit. Coincidence? I snorted so loud the crew looked at me funny. Coincidence? Sure, and I'm the next American Idol. I shoved the phone back in my pocket, finished the day on autopilot, and came home with my gut churning. Anne's little space and growth pitch was starting to smell less like a midlife crisis and more like a plan, one I wasn't part of. She was in the kitchen when I walked in, chopping carrots for dinner like everything was peachy. The girls were upstairs, their laughter floating down as Lily bossed Emma around over some game. I dropped my keys on the counter, louder than I meant to, and leaned against the fridge watching her. "Hey," I said, keeping it casual, like I wasn't about to poke a bear. "So, Oak Valley, nice spot. You got the kids' rooms figured out yet?" Her knife paused mid-chop, hovering over a carrot, and she glanced up with this deer-in-headlights look. Well," she said, brushing hair off her forehead with the back of her hand, "I was thinking maybe they'd stay with you more at first, till I get settled." I tilted my head, crossing my arms. "With me more? Huh. That's funny, 'cause last I checked, you're their mom." Thought Lat was about sharing custody, not dumping it. She set the knife down fast, her cheeks going pink. "That's not what I meant, Tom. Don't twist it." I stepped closer, keeping my voice low so the girls wouldn't hear. "Okay, then explain it. Why Oak Valley? It's 30 minutes from their school, no playgrounds, all one bedrooms. What's the draw?" She grabbed a dish towel, wiping her hands like it'd buy her time, and mumbled, "It's just nice, okay? Quiet. Good location?" I laughed. "Short, bitter," and shook my head. "Good location for what? Your personal growth? Or maybe it's convenient for somebody else?" Her eyes snapped up, wide and sharp, and she snapped back. "What's that supposed to mean?" I didn't answer, just held her stare till she looked away, fussing with the carrots again. That's when I knew. Dave's text wasn't a fluke. Jim living there wasn't some random overlap. My chest tightened, but I didn't push yet. Needed more ammo. Dinner was quiet. Lily chattered about her unicorn drawing. Emma fed Buster under the table, and Anne picked at her plate like it had offended her. I kept my cool, biding my time. After the girls were in bed, I found her in the living room, curled up with her phone. Perfect. I grabbed 2 coffees from the kitchen, hers with that splash of cream she likes, mine black, and sat across from her, sliding hers over. She looked up surprised and took it with a small thanks. I sipped mine, letting the steam curl up between us, then dropped it casual as hell. "Oh, by the way," I said, leaning back, "about those Florida tickets I got for our anniversary. Beachfront hotel, 7 days, all paid up, non-refundable. Figured since you're set on Lat, you might want to take Jim instead. Bet he'd love a week in the sun." Her mug slipped an inch in her hands, coffee sloshing onto her lap, and she fumbled to set it down, cursing under her breath. "What?" "Floric tickets," she stammered, wiping at her jeans. Her jaw was practically on the floor, and I just nodded, keeping my face straight. "Yeah, surprise I'd been planning. You've been obsessed with Florida forever. Instagram, Pinterest, the works. But since you need space, I had the travel agent make yours transferable. Take whoever you want." Her eyes darted around like she was looking for an exit, and then she started backpedaling so fast I thought she'd trip over her own words. "Wait, Tom, maybe we should hold off on LAT. We could use the trip, Reconnect just us?" I set my mug down slow, the clink loud in the silence, and leaned forward. "Reconnect? Kinda late for that, huh? You've already got 1 foot out the door." "Right, toward Oak Valley." She froze, lips trembling, and then the dam broke. Her hands flew to her face and she started sobbing, big, messy sobs that shook her shoulders. "I'm sorry," she choked out, voice muffling through her fingers. I felt stuck, okay? Like life was passing me by, and Jim, he made me feel alive again." I stood up so fast the chair scraped the floor, my hands clenching into fists. "Spare me the Hallmark crap," I snapped, cutting her off before she could spew more. "You were moving near your married boss, Anne. That's not space, that's a choice. You picked him over me, over the girls." She looked up, mascara streaking down her cheeks, and whispered, "He's not married." I laughed again, colder this time. "Oh, that's rich. So he's just your soulmate then. What a hero." She reached for my arm, but I stepped back, shaking my head. "No, don't. I can't even look at you right now." The air felt thick, my pulse pounding in my ears, and I could hear Lily's voice in my head from last week. Why's Mommy always smiling at her phone? And it hit me like a punch. I'd been blind, chasing my tail with spreadsheets while she'd been planning a whole damn escape. I need air, I said, grabbing my jacket off the hook. And maybe a lawyer. She called after me, Tom, wait, please. But I was already out the door, the cold biting my face as I stormed to the garage. The punching bag was still there, swaying a little from earlier, and I gave it one last swing, my knuckles screaming. Back in the truck, I pulled out my phone, hands shaking, and texted Kate, my cousin, who'd offered free legal help at last year's Christmas party after too much eggnog. Hey, you still do family law pro bono? I'm in deep shit. I hit send, leaned my head against the steering wheel, and muttered, game on. I'm sprawled out on a lumpy futon in Liz's spare room, Anne's sister's place. Week 2 of this train wreck, and let me tell you folks, the marriage is toast. But at least the couch is comfy. It's been a hell of a ride since I stormed out after Anne's sob fest last night. Her mascara-streaked face burned into my brain like a bad movie I can't unsee. She cried like I'd caught her sneaking cookies from the jar, not plotting to ditch our life for her boss. I drove straight to Liz's after that. Didn't even pack a bag. Just grabbed my keys and left Anne blubbering in the living room. Liz answered the door in sweatpants, took one look at my face and said, rough night? Spare room's yours. No questions, just handed me a beer and pointed down the hall. She's always been solid like that, unlike her sister, who's apparently been auditioning for a Lifetime drama. I barely slept, just stared at the ceiling. Replaying her whimpering, Jim made me feel alive on a loop. Alive? What am I, chopped liver? 8 years, 2 kids, a mortgage. I've been busting my ass keeping us afloat, and she's chasing sparks with some corporate jackass. By morning, I was back in my garage at home, the girls still at school, and God knows where. The punching bag was calling my name, swaying there like it knew I needed it. I wrapped my hands, sloppy, 'cause who cares, and started swinging. Therapy's expensive, this is free. Each hit landed with a thud, my knuckles burning, sweat soaking my shirt, and I pictured Jim's smug face on the bag. Bam. That's for the team meetings. Bam. That's for Oak Valley. Bam. For making her feel alive, while I'm over here fixing garage doors and flipping pancakes. I kept going till my arms gave out, then slumped against the wall, panting, the anger draining into something heavier. Grief, maybe, or just exhaustion. My phone buzzed mid-breath, Kate's name lighting up the screen. I wiped my face with my sleeve and answered, yeah? She didn't waste time. Got the Oak Valley app from a contact, and listed herself as single, Tom. Emergency contact? Jim. Not you, not her folks. Jim. I let out a laugh, sharp and hollow. Classy move, huh? Real subtle. Kate's voice went all lawyer mode, crisp but pissed. She's an idiot. Also, bank statements. She's been shifting cash to a separate account. Small amounts, but it adds up. You want me to draft something? I rubbed my jaw, still sore from clenching it all night. Yeah, separation, custody, whatever keeps the girls with me. She's lost it. Kate promised to have papers by tomorrow and hung up. I sat there, staring at the punching bag and felt the ground shift under me. Single. Jim. Cash. This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment thing. She'd been planning it step by sneaky step. I didn't confront Anne till later. Had to get the girls from school first. Lily ran up waving a spelling test, Emma trailing with her backpack half open. Where's Mommy? Emma asked, kicking a rock as we walked to the truck. My throat caught, but I crouched down, tugging her strap tighter. She's figuring some stuff out, kiddo. We've got this, okay? She nodded, trusting me like kids do, and I hugged her quick, hiding the crack in my voice. Back home, I called Anne's parents, told them we needed to talk. They invited me over that evening, no hesitation. Guess they'd sent something off, too. Anne showed up at their place an hour later, eyes red, hair a mess, like she'd been crying since I left. Her mom, Diane, had coffee ready. Her dad, Rick, just sat there, arms crossed, his jaw tight. I laid it all out on their dining table. Text from Anne's iPad. I'd screenshots before bolting. The Oak Valley app Kate emailed me. Bank records showing her squirreling away money. She wanted space, I said, sliding the papers over. Turns out that meant moving near Jim, her boss. listed him as her emergency contact. Oh, and she's single now, apparently? Diane's hand flew to her mouth, a sob slipping out, and Rick's face went dark. He turned to Anne, voice low like thunder. "You ditched your kids for this clown? What the hell's wrong with you?" Anne shrank into her chair, tears spilling again. "I didn't mean it like that, Dad. I got lost, okay? I'm sorry." She looked at me, pleading. "Tom, please. I'll fix it. I'll do anything." I leaned back, arms folded, and let out a dry chuckle. "Fix it? You've been catching out our life behind my back. The girls deserve better than this." Diane reached for my hand, her eyes wet. "We didn't raise her like this, Tom. I'm so sorry." Rick just shook his head, muttering, "Unbelievable." Anne's sobs got louder, but I couldn't feel sorry for her. Not after Lily's question earlier, not after Jem made me feel alive. Kate's draft came through that night. Separation agreement, me keeping the house since the mortgage is in my name, primary custody for me, supervised visits for Anne till she demonstrated. I met Anne at the house next morning to sign it. She was packing a bag, moving to her folks' place, her hands shaking as she zipped it up. "You wanted space?" I said, tossing the papers on the counter. "Enjoy it at your parents'. Sign here." She stared at the pages, pen hovering, then scrawled her name, tears dripping onto the ink. "I didn't want this," she whispered. I didn't answer, just took my copy and walked out. Back at Liz's, I crashed on the futon again, the weight of it all sinking in. The girls were with my parents for the night, and the quiet was deafening. My phone buzzed. Liz texting from the kitchen. "You okay? Coffee tomorrow?" I typed back, "Yeah, sounds good," and set the phone down, staring at the ceiling again. Liz had been a rock, checking in, keeping it light, not pushing. Funny how Anne's sister got it when Anne didn't. I closed my eyes, the punching bag still swinging in my mind, and thought, "Okay, Tom, you've got this." Now, I'm sitting on my back porch tonight, folks, 2 months post-divorce, a beer in hand, and the crickets chirping like they're celebrating with me. Final update time. Life's weird as hell, but I'm good. The papers are signed, the house is mine, and the girls are thriving, which is more than I can say for Anne. She's become a cautionary tale around here, the kind you whisper about over coffee at the diner. I've got my feet up on the railing, the air cool for late April, and I'm thinking back to that futon at Liz's place, those first raw days after I walked out. Feels like a lifetime ago. Anne sobbing on her parents' couch, me punching the bag till my hands bled. Now I'm sipping a Miller Lite and grinning at how the universe has a sick sense of humor. Karma's been working overtime, let me tell you. Word got back through Dave, my buddy with the real estate sister, that Jim's girlfriend found out about Anne's little Oak Valley scheme. Showed up at their office with a stack of texts screaming so loud the receptionists still talk about it. Anne and Jim got canned that same week. HR doesn't mess around when you're dumb enough to leave a paper trail. Apparently Jim's girl dumped him on the spot, and last I heard he's crashing with a cousin, whining about how nobody gets him. Poor guy. Anne's not doing much better, living with her folks, going to therapy, the real kind with a clipboard, not whatever wine and wine sessions she had with that Pat chick. Oh, Pat? She's in Florida now, writing some relationship book after her lat advice blew up 3 other marriages in her yoga class. Good luck with that bestseller, lady. I'd read it for the laughs, but I'm not shelling out $20 for it. The girls and I are settling into a new normal. Lily's spelling's still a disaster, but she's got this art project, a unicorn with a mohawk, that's hanging on the fridge. Emma's obsessed with Buster, keeps sneaking him table scraps till he's waddling. I was grilling burgers out here last week when Liz stopped by, a 6-pack in hand and a grin that said she wasn't just checking in anymore. We've been doing coffee since that text she sent me at her place, her asking, "You okay?" Me saying, "Yeah, let's grab some." Started simple, just venting about Anne over burnt diner brew. Then it turned into dinners, her laughing at my dumb dad jokes like, "What's a hammer's favorite song?" Nailed it. Somewhere along the way, I stopped seeing her as Anne's sister and started noticing how she'd stick around to help Lily with her homework or wrestle Emma into pajamas when I was white one night after the girls were asleep. We were out here on the porch splitting the last beer, and she said, "You're a good dad, Tom. Always have been." I looked at her, really looked, and something clicked. Next thing I knew, we were kissing, slow and easy, like it'd been waiting to happen. Anne lost it when she found out. Left me a voicemail last week, her voice all shaky and shrill. Tom, I've changed, I swear. I know I messed up. Take me back, please. I listened to it in the kitchen, flipping pancakes for the girls, and smirked as I hit forward, sending it straight to Kate. Evidence locker's full, I muttered, tossing my phone on the counter. Kate texted back a laughing emoji and, she's delusional. Anne even called her parents, screaming about betrayal. Diane told me over Sunday dinner, her voice tired. She thinks you and Liz planned this, she said, passing the mashed potatoes. Rick just snorted, cutting his steak. She's the one who ran off with that clown. We're not blind. They've been having us over every week now. Me, Liz, the girls. Plates piled with meatloaf and gravy. The girls giggling as Rick sneaks Buster a bite. Diane hugs me goodbye every time, says, "Your family, Tom." And I can tell she means it. Anne's still their daughter, but they barely talk to her. Guess watching her ditch her kids for a guy who didn't even want her flipped a switch. The Florida tickets sealed the deal, though. I'd almost forgotten about them. That bomb I dropped on Anne to watch her squirm. Liz and I were cleaning up after dinner one night, the girls asleep, when she found the confirmation email on my laptop. "What's this?" she asked, tilting her head. I grinned, leaning against the counter. "Oh, just a little anniversary surprise I never got to use. Beachfront, 7 days." Her eyes lit up and she laughed. "Anne's gonna hate this. Next month we're taking the girls. Lily's already planning sandcastles. Emma wants to chase crabs." We were in the truck last weekend grabbing ice cream when Emma piped up from the back seat, cone dripping on her shirt. "Aunt Liz is cooler than Mom anyway. She doesn't yell about my shoes." I glanced at Liz in the passenger seat. She was licking sprinkles off her spoon, grinning. And I laughed, the kind that starts in your chest and feels good. "Yeah, kiddo, she's pretty cool," I said, ruffling Emma's hair. Driving home, the girls singing some off-key pop song in the back. I thought about Anne. How she'd freaked out back then, sobbing that I'd leave her for Liz. Guess she was psychic, just got the timing wrong. She'd built this whole fantasy with Jim, torched our family for it, and now here I am, holding hands with her sister over a melting Sunday while the girls fight over the radio. Life's funny that way. Bittersweet, sure, but the sweet's winning out. I pulled into the driveway, Liz squeezing my hand as the girls bolted inside, and my phone buzzed. Another text from Anne. Probably more tears. I didn't even check it, just tucked it in my pocket and followed Liz in. Sometimes the trash takes itself out, you know? Me, I'm just here for the sprinkles.